hosting stuff for Flat Creek Crossing. We had a dream host charge of $13.99, and yeah, so we are solvent. We really haven't spent much of our $2,500 commitment from the town, which is also in our books at this point. And there is a point of clarification that I want to make, and I'm not fully clear on it yet myself. But Nancy Hope Fund is a name that was put on a town account when the town account was created to hold funds that would not expire at the end of the year, outside of the town's normal budget. Anything that fit that category went into that account. But those funds were not all in honor of Nancy Hope. That was simply a name at the head of a column. So if we want to consider in the future what to do with Nancy Hope Memorial Funds, I'll need to be more clear about how much of that really was Nancy Hope Memorial Funds. At this moment, I think it's probably a little over $400, but I will talk with people who know some history and try to get very clear on that. And that's that point of clarification. Still not totally clear, but at least we'll have a little better understanding of what we mean when we say Nancy Hope Funds, because they were all Nancy Hope Memorial Funds. Okay.
Thank you, Jane. Are any public comments? Ah.
I'm Grace Nichols. I'm 527 Swanee Drive. I am here as a member of the Flat Creek Crossing Accessible Trail Town Committee, and from the Landcare that you're supporting us as a project. The Montreat Conference Center is assisting us in having a fundraiser and education experience for the conference that is starting a week from today or yesterday, meaning that's the Holy Shift Conference. It ends on Wednesday, the 11th of October, and they were gracious to allow us in the program to have brochures of our Montreat First Accessible Trail, which is an educational piece of literature. And we have, under the planning committee with Jean Norris, Will Jones, George Sawyer, Christina Tutterlow, and others who have supported our steering committee from afar and near and afar. And we're planning to have that. They have an ending worship service for that conference between 7 and 8 o'clock. And we have come under a contract. This is something that we are personally as a committee contracting with Conference Center. And we're having a Happy Trails party. And the invitation I have placed over on the tables near you. When we had the 250 program brochures as well as the invitations, and these, and by the way, the invitations were done by your own Jean Norris, formatted, beautiful job, and she stapled all these invitations to go into the packets, and this is where the cooperation of the Conference Center, that we greatly appreciate their help, so that the conferees that come for that program will have this invitation in their packets. Montreat Landcare invites you to Happy Trails. We have our logo at the top. And it's a Wednesday, October the 11th. Come learn about Montreat's first accessible trail, Flat Creek Crossing, just inside the gate. And as you see, we will have short presentations. We also will have displays. One I would like to point out is Adam Combs, a Waypoint Adventure, Adaptive Outdoor Experiences, and the Montreat College Environmental Review Project. We will have our sales of Jim Williamson's cards, and the most fun part of it all is that we'll have Benjamin Barker, a hammered dulcimer, and Keith Grogg and his wife Vivian Hare on the guitar, Tom and Mary Donnelly, who are musicians, and they're going to be singing all of Roy Rogers' Happy Trails songs and others. And we are also wanting everyone to be, it's on the Landcare Committee to come, even if it's at 8:15, and just see the atmosphere of it. Just come and join us. We have independently purchased, without the town funds, wine, beer, snacks, and it will be a lot of fun. So I hope we hope we can recruit when they come out of the auditorium to go up the escalator or the stairs. But we will have signage and it will be a lot of fun. It's very relaxed. So please come. You remember, we have you at the top here. And on the back, we talk about Moncrief Landcare, what it's doing, who it's participating. And it is the only town trail that is under, in Moncrief. So happy trails.
Thank you, Grace. This is going to be fun, y'all, so please, let's all come. Thank you. Town of Moncrief, Kathy.
All right, sorry. This is just the highlights from the September 14th meeting of the town council. The council held the third and the final public hearing on the comprehensive plan update, Moncrief tomorrow. There were no comments during this public hearing. The council adopted changes as suggested during the second public hearing, then approved the Moncrief tomorrow comprehensive plan. The council agreed to not accept the $191,000 grant from the Land of Sky Regional Council MPO. This was for rehabilitation of the Texas Road Bridge. However, the grant would not have covered the most recent estimate of $900,000 for that work. Commissioner Kent Otto resigned his post effective September 15th, explaining that he and his wife had been looking for a home in Moncrief, but they bought in Black Mountain. Commissioner Fouché reminded Montreaters to beware of bears, reporting that they recently were tearing into yellow jacket nests to feed on larvae, and so much so that they were ripping up house siding to get to those nests. So those were the highlights from the last meeting.
Okay, thank you, Kathy. Martha Todd, MRA.
I don't really have any real update from the conference center in general, but Jason may have some updates. We do have some updates from Wilderness that you might want to share. Is it not?
Okay, Jason.
Other than
were you at lunch yesterday?
yes, about the state budget? Is
Yeah,
that
so
the comment?
be
Okay.
on the lookout for an announcement from us regarding moving forward on dredging of the lake.
Dredging up the lake? You gonna drain the lake and dredge up the lake?
Well, there's going to be a statement coming out this week, I think, or in
Yeah,
the
there
next
should
week
be
or
a
so.
press release.
And to be fair, I know that's coming out. I don't have the details, so I'm going to refer you to that. But
Okay.
I do have one
And not only
burning,
dredging, there's a plan in place to hopefully create a solution so that it doesn't continue to fill up like it has done. So yeah, but all those details should be forthcoming. So yeah, thanks, Jason.
okay, so the creation of a feeding in wetland sounds like it's also part of the plan.
Well, my understanding is, and I don't know all the technical terms, is basically we'll go upstream from the lake and in a more accessible place, kind of dig a hole.
Yeah.
yeah, it's called a
Is that what you're talking
forebay.
about? Okay.
And if you go to like Lake Tomahawk and you walk around the thing, if you cross that little wooden bridge and look upstream, it's basically a weir that will catch sediment before it gets to the lake. And then you can go, or we rather, can go with a smaller piece of equipment, as needed, and pull out the silt that gets caught on the smaller dam before it makes it into the lake.
Ah,
So
good. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, Moncrief College, Dottie? No report. Cottagers, Wilderness, Bill Tucker.
No report.
Earth Ministry, Hal Demarest.
Well, October the 11th will be feast or famine, I guess. So we have a normal Wednesday night presentation on October the 11th in the walk-up building. And this week, this month rather, it will be Cam Murchison. And he's going to talk about an update on the environmental situation in the world. That should be really interesting. Cam is both the stated clerk of the presbytery and has worked there for some time and has been active in the environmental issues at that level and is really knowledgeable on the situation in the world. So that should be a really good presentation. I've heard him before with other presentations, but it's been about 5 years, I think, since he's given it to a group like this here in Montreat. So Wednesday night, 5 o'clock to 6. And everyone's welcome.
Thank you, Hal. We look forward to that. Okay, team Flat Creek Crossing update. Jean?
Gracie, do you want to give that? Yes, yeah, but if you're not prepared, I'll read it. It's, all right, it's right here then. All right, so this was prepared by Patty Pyle. Activity during September has centered on preparing for a special event on October 11th. The goal is to bring attention to the trail project by sponsoring a gathering in Upper Anderson for the conferees, finishing the Montreat Conference Center's Holy Shift Conference. We're calling it Happy Trails, and we invite all Landcare members to attend, hear some music, enjoy refreshments, and help us promote Flat Creek Crossing. We begin at 8:15 on Wednesday evening. Many thanks to our coworkers at MRA for their help in working on this event. Other work has involved a collaboration with Montreat College to complete an inventory of plants and animals adjacent to the trail site. We're grateful to Josh Holbrook and his students for their help. We're hopeful that friends of FCC, Joe Standard and George Sawyer, can assist in this effort. This inventory will be important in future grant applications. We have also consulted with an expert in fundraising to begin a formal plan. News of the environmental, whatever EEG grant is still awaited. Back to silence. No, it was the cat hospital calling me. I need to answer that, but not now. Okay, news of the EEG grant is still awaited. And since we're in October now, I'm thinking we might want to try to track somebody down and ask why we haven't heard anything, because we thought we would have. An informal commitment from David Lamott has been received to plan a future benefit concert. The FCC fundraising team is considering a comprehensive email canvassing effort to encourage end-of-year gifts. Research into grant sources is ongoing. And that's the end of the report.
Goodness,
Oh my.
Montreat must be on fire. Okay, Jean, thank you. Let's see, Brad's not here, Meredith's not here, Community Wildlife Bill Seaman is not here, Hemlock is not here, Jim Williamson is not here. So let's move on to unfinished business. Now, does everybody have a copy of this? Jason, do you have one? Everybody's got one, so you're gonna need to be looking at it, all right? You got one?
Yeah, I've got one.
Okay, so last month, there was seemed to be, from what I was reading from Dottie, a little confusion as to the entity representatives. And I can understand that because Grace worked with me for 6 months to try to figure it out. I still think I've got it. Okay, if you all will look at the bylaws, which I've given you, it might clarify some things. First, pick up the bylaws of January 12th, 2012. Okay. In it, and this is page 2. Section 5, and 5, memberships and appointments, section 5.1. Members of the Montreat Landcare Committee will be appointed by the following bodies in the numbers shown. Montreat, Town of Montreat, 2 town members, 1 community at large. Montreat College, 2 members. MRA, 2 members. 5.14, Montreat Wilderness Committee, 1 member. Cottages, Wilderness, and Open Spaces Committee, 1 member. Wildlife Habitat, 1 member. Montreat Trail Club, 1 member. Montreat Presbyterian Church Earth Ministry Team, 1 member. So that gave them 12 members with voting privileges. Each member had a vote. Okay, so now pick up the next one, which is the revision, October 6, 2021. Is that your house or mine?
As the college.
Oh, the
They've been
college.
having a terrible time in Davis.
Okay, so look at October 6, 2021. This is the revisions. Members of the Landcare shall be named by the leadership of the following entities in the numbers shown. Town of Montreat, 4 members, including a commissioner, a National Wildlife Association designee, and 2 from the community at large. Presently, the commissioner is Kitty Fouché. I am the National Wildlife Federation liaison, and Kathy Putman and Jean Norris are the 2 members at large. All 4 have voting privileges. Now, Jean is an officer, so she's entitled to vote as one, is an officer, but she only has the 1 vote, either or. I am currently the president, and because of that office, I cannot vote except in a tie. And I'm just going to assume that that office overtakes this privilege of voting from the town, but that's just an assumption because there's nothing written in the bylaws. Okay, Montreat College has 2 members, Dottie Schumann and Josh Holbrook. Both have voting privileges. Montreat Conference Center, 3 members, Martha Todd, Tracy Bailey, and Jason Nance. Jason also serves as chair of the Montreat Wilderness Committee.
I'm not the chair, I am on the committee. I am not the chair of that committee.
Oh, well, why not?
He didn't get voted in.
Well, I would say the answer is probably that it's an advisory committee, and it is probably deemed prudent to have somebody who's not in the employ of the MRA chairing a committee that's purpose is to advise the MRA.
Okay, still, you have a vote. So all 4, where am I? All 4 of these have a vote. Jason, Dottie, 3. Jason, Dottie, and
No,
Tracy Bailey.
Martha, me, and Tracy, yes.
Yes.
Okay, Jason sometimes also reports as a team member, and team members don't have a vote. Is that clear as a bell there, y'all?
So it looks like, I'm just looking through this, it looks like, so the Wilderness Committee, which used to be a voting entity, is now a team and gives reports but doesn't vote.
Well, the
No,
Wilderness,
go ahead.
the Wilderness Committee rep was folded into MRA, so MRA went from having 2
Okay,
reps to 3.
that's the confusion, I think.
That's a confusion. So is that clear now?
It's all still confusing, but
But I'm trying to make it better here.
Decide if you want that 3rd person to be.
Well, I mean, so both Martha and I attend Wilderness Committee meetings, so one of us should be able to report on that. Assuming one of us is here.
Right.
Sure, but MRA still has the 3 votes.
Yes.
Got it.
And I guess I would say that if the MRA decides to have a representative that's not an employee of MRA to represent the Wilderness Committee, they could, right? So,
Yes.
I mean, I don't know if there's any advantage to that or not, but, that, I think that it could be that way.
It could happen, but
Yeah.
That would then be the MRA's 3rd member. Either way, the MRA just gets three
Yes,
members.
three
It's just
members.
one of those three also needs to be in the capacity of representing the MRA's wilderness.
That's
Okay.
the way I understand.
And that's the way the bylaws stand.
Well, they're not
As
really
clear
stated
as they
clearly
are.
now.
As clear as they
that
are.
way. They were stated that way, but they're not now.
In this revision. Okay, cottages, and we're going to just, open spaces, yeah, currently Beth Fountain or Bill Tucker,
Shared.
one vote. Presbyterian Church, currently Hal Demarest, one vote. So we're down now to 5 entities because that's been folded into, and we have 11 voting members. Is everybody with me? Okay. Now, I don't have any idea why this revision came about because I wasn't here then. And obviously the bylaws still need some clarification, not only on this issue, but some others as we have gone through them and found them. Please note that the Montreat Trail Club has gone away. It might come back. And when it does, it'll come back as a voting entity.
Is that in the bylaws?
It was in the previous.
It was in the
bylaw.
previous bylaws. That's in the early bylaws. So I guess it would be up to the revision, the bylaws committee revision, whether or not to put that back in. But that's something else I don't know.
Not unless we get someone who wants to.
Yeah, please,
You got to go to the mic.
Mike. Yeah, please help me with this.
Well, the Wilderness Committee and then the Trail Club, we've referred to them over the last several years until the Wilderness Committee revised themselves. No, never mind. I was trying to get into Bill. We referred to them as dormant, but they still was in there as an entity because that's how the original bylaw back in 2004. It was Alice Lentz, Dottie, and Maggie Ray that worked on those 2021 to clarify. And so Dottie has actually the most knowledge because she has been on this Landcare committee since its beginning. And I think what we were doing, we're trying to get the entities meet, but we look at the college, we look at the conference center and the town, not to have more votes than anyone, so that this committee is one that's balanced, so that we're all in this together and supportive. So Dottie might want to make a more comment about that. But that's why we had it was through Alice Lentz as the town commissioner before her retirement that this was done. And Dottie, thank you.
You know, it's still not balanced because the town has more reps than anybody else. At 4.
I remember that being our main reason that we did it.
But anyway, that's not our problem. That's not our problem today.
Yeah.
The National Wildlife was separate, and as an officer, you were elected because you were part of the membership, and you had to be part of one of the team or part of one of
Entities.
the entities.
Yeah.
So that's what happened while you're the National Wildlife,
Right.
and that's
And the town,
and that's separate from the town.
Yeah, that's, I mean,
no,
Well, in the current bylaws, it's
No.
not separate, it's included under the town.
it's included under
under
the
the
town.
town, yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah, I know.
But I mean,
so,
who all lives here?
okay,
It's just those are the people that live here. The rest of us
That's
don't
what we've
live
been
here.
doing.
You
That's
know,
what we do, yeah.
is any-
Okay, Jean, do you have anything on the website discussion? Are we done with this? Are we, okay, are we straight?
For the moment.
I think so. I mean, I did not realize, there was some confusion about the having 3 members versus 2, and then the Wilderness Committee. I guess I was not here at that October meeting when that was voted on, so,
Yeah.
which is entirely possible. But yeah, so we're straight, that's fine.
Okay,
Yeah, and it's up to you guys how you want to.
How do we want to split that up?
Split that up, yeah.
Well, so my next question is, do you want a separate report from the Wilderness Committee, or do you want us to report it under the MRA report?
we you've been reporting as a team member, as a separate one, but you're wrapped up with MRA, it's up to MRA.
This is really a question for just the minutes. Would you rather me tell you when the MRA report comes up, stuff that the Wilderness Committee has done, or would you like us to have a separate thing?
Just report with
Okay.
MRA.
And once again, I just wanted to clarify, I think when the MRA representative was not an employee of MRA, that's when the report was handled separately, the Wilderness Committee. When it was O'Neill or whoever was McDougal was before that. So that's your decision. If by some reason, or for some reason, the MRA determines that the Wilderness Committee representative is not an employee of the MRA, then I would think that report would be separate. But as long as you're, your employee, yeah. Yeah, and I guess, I feel like it was separate because there were sometimes things that the Wilderness Committee maybe was doing differently than what the MRA was. I don't know, understand that history, but.
The truth of the matter is that at that point in the sort of Bob Tuttle days, the MRA was not as intrinsic, like wilderness was a thing they had, and they kind of said, here's a committee, go deal with it, so we don't have to. And we're slowly kind of taking more ownership of the fact that we have all this land.
Okay, that's a helpful clarification, I think, as to why, because I didn't understand why they were separate. Well, I guess I didn't understand why they were now combined,
Yeah.
but that makes really good sense. I agree that makes great sense, that now that MRA is handling the wilderness in more direct ownership or supervisory role. It used to be the Wilderness Committee made all the decisions on what was happening in the wilderness, I think. That was the difference. or
That makes
something.
sense. Yeah, that makes sense. Good, finally.
Okay,
Jean, did you get all that?
I can help you.
Close enough.
Yes, yeah.
Close enough. Close enough.
Following up then, do you want a report from the Wilderness Committee? Because I didn't give you one earlier.
It's not going to be verbatim in the minutes, I promise. But it'll
But
take
I
me
think a
longer to make
report
it
on the
short.
Wilderness Committee is helpful.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, I mean, I can do that real quick if you would like. So
Sure.
if we could go back to that. So we met last month, I believe, and we're going to meet, it sounds like quarterly. And we voted to go ahead on pursuing the trail consultants. We've gotten quotes from a company called Equinox. And we did get the grant that Dottie's students came to us with. So that was the main thing. And there was some dividing into subcommittees to work on things like map revisions and pursuing additional grants for things. But so I guess the takeaways are we are pursuing the trail consultant with the help of that grant. And it's going to be a quarterly meeting sort of entity for now. And so we may not have a report every month.
That's all right. I'm delighted to hear that grant has helped. That was what we wanted you to do. Okay, Jean, back to you.
Okay. We had some questions and comments arise about the website in the last meeting, and it seemed a little bit timely to put together a report, all of which you've received by email, but if anyone needs a paper copy, I printed some paper copies. So do I need to paper us, or are we all good?
I could use one, thank you.
Oh, good, thank you. Yes, we'll pass the table and.
Bill, do you have a?
I did.
I read it.
Okay,
Oh,
I don't think it.
You know what, I will tell you, I'm just doing that, so.
All right.
Did you want one? Did you want one? Okay.
Okay, as you can see from the yellow splashes here and there on the page, these are sketch notes. It was what I could put together in the time available, and it's probably at least sufficient for this little introductory discussion today. I don't know exactly when the website went independent of the town, but I do know that there was some history of the demands for this particular website being more than the town wanted to deal with. There could be other issues as well. In the time that we've had an independent website, we've had web design, and we've had a series of paid volunteer people whose task was to update the website. An update meant, okay, we're having this event, put this up. We have this new team, put this up. So it wasn't doing any of the engineering work to make a website go. It was just putting information on it. And each of those relationships, for various reasons, turned out to be not sustainable. Too many other job demands, private time not available. So we would keep coming back to the person who designed the web, who was Jeff Hudson. And there was a moment in time fairly recently, within the last couple of years, when we knew we needed some more work on the website. Some pieces were broken, some pieces appeared to be missing. We needed someone who really knew what they were doing to go in and work on it, and we weren't positive that we had Jeff Hudson available. He was kind of incommunicado for a while. So, quick and dirty, I went looking for people who design webs, and I found one company that was willing to actually talk to me at some length, and they specialize in nonprofit web design. So from them and from cruising the web, looking at other people's postings, I could find out that whatever we would be charged to revisit that website, to look at it, to figure out what it needed, to fix it, it was going to cost 2 or 3 times what Jeff had quoted us a couple of years ago for what he would have to charge us to put the website in good order. And I didn't get any of that as formal proposals, A, because the cost was so high, and B, because Jeff reemerged and we could talk to him again. So Jeff is still advising us that we need a rebuild on the website, and it's probably still priced at around $4,500 to $5,000. Although in the year or so that I've been working with Jeff, we've had to have certain things fixed along the way, certain plugins updated and so forth. So it might not be quite as extensive a job when it has to be undertaken. When I was toying with the idea 20 or 30 years ago of becoming an independent nutrition consultant, glad I didn't. One of the things that you kind of needed to know even back then was how to put up your web presence. And there was this one continuing ed course worth about 6 hours, and it had one book and one program was advised, and you could do it yourself. 10 years later, you could take a junior college course and get no farther than that in web design. And now you can take entire programs of courses. So web design is no longer an amateur activity. There's way too much software out there, and the software goes out of date. The basic programming language for our website is PHP, and PHP has been revised over the last 30 years. And that's one of the things that needs to be updated, is comb through all that code and be sure that the PHP version is current so that plugins and other things will work with it reliably. So, the biggest question is, do we need a website? And my personal answer to that is yes, we do. We have a large enough presence in the world, and we want to maintain that presence in the world. And the way you do that in this day and age is you have a website. Another question is, well, does anybody use our website? And on August 29th, I jotted a note on a piece of paper, which I found, that said that we had 65,760 hits. And then a few days later, I checked again, and it was 65,887 hits. Now, that doesn't mean individuals. That means people have clicked into the website for any purpose, including the number of times that I go look to see if the latest posting worked. But that was still 127 hits in 4 days. So are we a world-shaking Destination on our website, we are not. Are people using it? Clearly they are, and we want them to be using it. And then I have about a page of what all is up there. And I have a few examples of what those things look like printed. At considerable expense, we printed this one once. It now lives on the website. At lesser expense, we printed this one once, and it probably still resides on a rack in the town, but it's also on the website. It's the rain garden. And then we have some official and semi-official planting guides. What are the native plants that are recommended for Montreat? This is on the Landcare website. It's also in the town statutes, but it's a lot easier to find on the Landcare website, and it's got a pretty wide little heading on the Landcare website. And native plants essential to a healthy landscape, and invasive plants are a threat, and etc. So you could look at the paper things. There's more to be found on the website, and I highly advise people to take a look at it. I think it's functioning in a nice way now. We have many project pages, and I've listed those here. The most active one still at the moment is Flat Creek Crossing, because stuff keeps being put up there, and as long as we're actively raising funds for it, we want to keep putting stuff up there because we want people to have new reasons to go look. I think I might be about done with this report. I probably can't do much with questions, but I'm willing to try.
I'm just curious, the $4,500 to $5,000, what does that buy you? You talked about this is something that needs to be updated on a regular basis. So is that just kind of to handle one update, or is it like cover some period of time into the future?
It's a major update now, and whether any, and that would involve going back into the basic code and being sure that it's current PHP, things like that. So it's a fairly extensive job. There's a lot of code running that thing at the moment, and there will be at least as much in the future. It's not, I mean, we've been able to hold it off for probably 4 or 5 years already since Gracie first talked about this with Jeff, by doing patches as they became absolutely necessary. I can't really say, but I could certainly ask Jeff, how often might something of this magnitude need to be done? What we want to avoid is going to someone who will cost twice as much by definition and who will have to do the entire basic assessment of what we need that Jeff has already done. So it's our least expensive way to proceed is to stay with Jeff, and he's actually quite wonderful to work with.
Can I also, just from my experience, my wife does some of this, and not that I'm at all suggesting any changes, but just as a, that people, charge $100 an hour for that sort of thing regularly.
Yes.
And so I want to put that into context. So if he's quoting us per project and not an hourly rate, that's great, because we're talking, what, 40, 50 hours? And if it takes him more than a week to do this, then we've come out ahead on that sort of thing.
And currently the posting individual things and the patchwork, Jeff is doing that for us at $60 an hour, which we acknowledge is a deeply discounted rate. That's 50% of what he charges everybody else to do the same thing. And I've had, during that period that I was looking for, well, do we need someone else? One person took the trouble to actually look into his code, which they can do, they have the tools, and complimented the work very highly. They said this was very nicely done, it's neat, it's clean, it's logical. We've got a good designer and a very friendly person.
The website looks really good.
Mhm.
There's, no question about it. I've got it up here, and it's user-friendly. There are some updates that need to happen.
Yes.
So you're saying that the back, like the code has to be rewritten, or is it just
It needs to be combed through and updated.
combed through and up?
I mean, even things
Whatever
like
that means.
SAS. SAS is a statistical programming language. Even SAS has an entire institute that periodically rewrites major pieces of it. PHP is a much smaller deal than that, but there have been changes over time. And would I even know what they look like? No, the only PHP coding I did was extremely limited. But it needs to be combed through, and various things need to be updated. And I think it's probably a completely fair price.
Because I
Chris, you
need to
look
go
like you're sitting on
soon.
the edge of your seat. Do you have any?
Because I need to leave soon, I call for the vote. Or I'll make a
Would you
motion
take a
that we
motion?
move forward with this plan
As
as
soon as we can
is.
get the money together.
What's that?
As soon as we can get the money together, yes.
Yes. So I don't know if it's time for that, but I just want to indicate my support for whatever we need to do, because I think web presence is important. And if we have someone with a reasonable price, I just think it makes fiscal
Okay.
sense.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second? This comes from committee, actually. Doesn't it?
Yeah.
We
yeah,
don't need a
Dottie's on the
second.
committee, so we don't need a second.
All in favor?
Or discussion first.
Okay.
Discussion
Well, we've had, okay. Any more discussion? Any further discussion?
So the motion is to move forward on the website at such a point that we find it financially feasible to do so.
Actually, it was during COVID that Jeff and I got to be very good friends, and Hudson, he also was willing to work with, and we did for about 8 months, a volunteer from our community, and it was Ann Neal. She has the code to go in, whatever those, and I think you do, and maybe Brad, but there is someone that can go in and put our projects, put any updates of anything that we're doing on the committees of Landcare. And he had Zoom sessions with Ann and myself, and was willing to educate anyone that can do that. So he wouldn't have to do it. So I don't know if that if we can search in this world of Montreat, another Ann Neal, she took on another job, and it was just not feasible for her to say, someone from the native plant cell, can you get this in the next week? And she couldn't. I mean, it was just hourly impossible. So if there's a person out there that could contact Jean, or if we can explore, that have the expertise. I know that one time we had someone from the college, one of your students, even opened up a Facebook page, and I'm not sure if that Facebook page we ever got rid of it, but anyway, I support Jeff. I think it's a wise person that will advise you, and he is on a very, a rate that is, he loves Montreat, he grew up in Black Mountain, and he wants to help Montreat.
There's one other thing that I could add under discussion, and that is that we are still going to need, at some point pretty soon, a group of us to look at everything that's on the website and see what information needs to be updated. Not how it's programmed, but what does it say? And are there any pieces that we might want to take away? Anything that we might want to give back to the town, since the town is now more and more ready to handle website that's accessible, not fully, but getting there. But so we need a committee to look at that, but that's a separate thing from getting the website design up to date.
Are you proposing that we have a subcommittee to look into this?
I am, but I'm not prepared to serve on that subcommittee right this minute, so I'm offering it as a future piece of business.
Okay, all right, so we'll table that.
In terms of the money, just coming back to that, do you have a view on how that money would be obtained? Is there the possibility, even though we're not supported by the town's kind of website, is there the possibility of getting money from the town, for example, to cover part of the cost? And are there other Landcare projects that might be, that are important, that might be crowded out if we dedicated this much money to the website?
We can certainly, in future budget requests, specify reasons that we'd be asking for more than the town gives us. This last budget request, we were not even asked to make a request, but we did anyway. And we did a sketch budget. We didn't actually lay it out in a table. We received half of what we requested. And what we requested included website maintenance, not rebuild, but maintenance at 2 hours a month, which is approximately what we're spending. We can certainly do that again. I'm willing to try to talk to the town administrator about whether there's any other route. But we also, would we be starving other projects? I mean, one of the things that we have the ability to do with this, we do our own books, is decide how much we want to set aside of what was previously called Nancy Hope money for what if in the future, and how much we feel like we can spend. Those decisions are not actually made yet, but they are decisions that need to be made, and then we need to bring those to a vote in the committee. At this point, we do not have $4,500 to $5,000 to give to the website, and Jeff understands that, and he's working with us hourly to do what becomes absolutely essential until such time as we get that act together.
Okay, then Dottie has left, so I would like to amend her motion to include.
Dottie just pointed out that with her
Huh?
departure, we no longer have a quorum.
I think she's right about that, too. 1, 2, 3, tiebreaker, 4, 5, 6. We're one short of a quorum at this point. So we're going to have to table the vote.
We can do that. The vote is tabled until the next meeting. Okay.
She tried, bless her
I
heart.
did. Okay, all right. And the next meeting is November the 1st, 2023. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Thank y'all.
You seem to have more trouble with getting a quorum. And I don't know if it's because we're now doing things like there's 4 people from MRA, but only 2 are here.
They might.